Sonic, the heart of your system.
What's up guys, welcome back to another GGF video, and today I'll be taking a look at the LANCOOL II Mesh, but instead of doing a full out blown review of the LANCOOL II Mesh over here, I've actually decided to do more of a comparison video between the Mesh and the original LANCOOL II, which was released at the end of last year. So we'll mainly be covering the features like airflow, what RGB you get and what RGB you don't, and then I'll also check out the LANCOOL II Mesh Performance model as well. Then towards the end, I will check out the new Galahad all-in-one coolers. Lian Li have been sort of teasing these for at least a year now, so I'm not going to do any testing. I'm just going to go over the price of these, some of the specs and so on, so you can check out those. And if you did notice, I have launched a LANCOOL II Mesh Performance build already. Haven't done a time-lapse build, so I'll throw that in the description below for you to check out. So let's jump in and check out the cases. There's been plenty of LANCOOL II Mesh coverage as of late, and so there should be. The LANCOOL II last year was a great chassis, which was one of my favourites, and I feel Lian Li have done an even better job on their latest Mesh variant. As I said earlier, this won't be a full blown out review of the LANCOOL II Mesh. I've already covered the original LANCOOL II, and you can find that review in the description below. Rather, this time I thought I would cover the unique differences between the LANCOOL II RGB and the LANCOOL II Mesh RGB. At the end, I'll also quickly dot down the differences between the LANCOOL II Mesh Performance as well. Starting with, I guess, the main feature, and that would be airflow. Lian Li have focused heavily on this on the new version, and the main giveaway would be the front. The LANCOOL II Mesh has a complete mesh front with no dust filter. The fine holes in the mesh act as a dust filter itself. This simply pops off for fan access and cleaning. Sticking to airflow, the mesh has improved side, top and rear ventilation. The side cover is now completely made from mesh rather than just a few small slits like on the LANCOOL II. This probably won't affect too many people, but if you do happen to use the two included fan mounts on the basement cover, this would definitely increase air intake here. Speaking of the two fan mounts on the LANCOOL II, fans simply mount to the top cover over the slits. On the LANCOOL II Mesh, this has been quite improved. Each fan mount now unscrews, leaving a large square hole with the fan mounting to just the sides and the corners. This provides absolutely no air restrictions at all. Plus, on the LANCOOL II Mesh, you can now mount two SSDs down in this area. The rear of the LANCOOL II Mesh also has an improved mesh design, and as you can see, both the fan area and side PCIe slot area have drastically larger holes for exhausting air. This same design has been carried over to the top of the chassis as well. And if you saw my LANCOOL II Mesh build I've already posted, you'll notice I didn't add any top fans. This is the reason I did this. You may not think this new design does much, but adding an accent piece behind really shows how much more open this mesh design is. With the main airflow features out of the way, the LANCOOL II Mesh has no direct front RGB built in like on the LANCOOL II, rather instead coming with 3 ARGB fans. These are very silent at 25 dBA while running at 49 CFM. Just remember, both cases come with 3-pin fans only, so no PWM control here, just DC control will be available. Both cases give off a unique RGB experience, and I would say each look equally as good. The other difference is the LANCOOL II requires the spring contacts at the front for that RGB connectivity. The advantage of the LANCOOL II Mesh is if you have preferred RGB fans, you'll be able to see them. Plus, you'll have that better front airflow as well. Controlling the RGB on both cases is kept the same, with the mode and color button at the top next to the chassis I/O. Both cases come with external RGB options for, say, connecting your motherboard's 5V ARGB header. Now for those who haven't seen my LANCOOL II Mesh build, let's take a look. Now, one thing I did notice on the LANCOOL II Mesh is that the whole front assembly, the area that you pull off to get access to the fans, is actually 500 grams lighter than the front assembly on the LANCOOL II. So the LANCOOL II, the front assembly comes in at 1.3 kilograms, and the front assembly on the LANCOOL II Mesh comes in at 800. Now, that's probably because why the LANCOOL II has all this extra framework inside. It's got all these sort of the steel bars for the RGB, and it's got sort of a bit of extra area, and it's got these filters as well. So just keep that in mind. It's probably not going to be an issue for anyone, I don't think of, but it will make the overall case a little bit heavier. Now, in terms of the LANCOOL II Mesh Performance, so there's the two options of the LANCOOL II Mesh RGB, one in black, one in white, and then there is the sole black Mesh Performance case, which is this one here. Now, this simply drops the RGB. You don't get the included RGB fans, but you do get 3 fans included still, but they're more performance fans. You get 2 140mm fans installed at the front. They are 60 CFM at 25 dBA, and then you also get a 120 performance fan mounted on the rear, which is 55 CFM at 26 dBA. So just keep that in mind. You don't get any RGB, but that's not saying you can't get the performance chassis and then put your own performance RGB fans in if you like. And then the other area that is different on the performance model is it drops the RGB control at the top, so your mode and color buttons, because there's no point having that because there's no RGB fans to control. It drops that for a fan control switch. So you have 3 speeds. You have like low, medium, high, and then you have a fourth option, on that switch, which will then put it to PWM motherboard control. And I don't mind those little switches, because if you don't want to set up your motherboard control, you can then keep it on like low, medium or high, but then you've also got that option to connect that cable that goes out onto your motherboard PWM, and you can control it via that, which is neat. And then in saying that, the performance model also comes with a little fan hub that sits on the back with all those fans are connected in, and that is ready to go. Now, in terms of all these 3 cases, the 2 RGB mesh ones and the performance one, you still get support for all those extra add-ons, which I covered in my very first review on the original LANCOOL II. So you still get the vertical GPU support, which you can purchase separately. You can get that side LED strip that runs along here. You can clip it either on the inside there or on the framework of the chassis. You also get the hard drive hot swap modules that turns them into the pull slide out hot swaps, and it does have the little LEDs for hard drive activity. You still get the USB Type-C cable, which then enables front USB Type-C, because all these 3 models do not come out of the box with USB Type-C support for the front. It has a little cutout, but there is no actual connector inside, so you need to purchase that one separately. And then you also get that anti-sag bracket support, which is an optional extra. So all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options are all separate add-ons you can purchase separately, which I said in my LANCOOL II video, that is a pretty good idea, because if they bundled all those together, you're probably going to increase the price of the case about $100, and a lot of people probably aren't going to need or use all those extra features. Now, in terms of the three cases, in terms of what they're similar to the original LANCOOL II, all the internals are still the same, except for you've got that advanced sort of options for the fans that mount over here. These actually come out now, and you can put an SSD, whereas the LANCOOL II original one, you couldn't put an SSD. You still got that great cable management at the rear. You got those really nice colors, and you'll notice in my video, if you saw on this one, I actually painted those white for some nice contrast. That came out pretty good. You've still got that internal cable cover for the 24-pin and SATA. That can be reversed and flipped for different size motherboards. And then you've also got that really awesome multi-positional front radiator bracket. You can slide it in 4 ways, and that gives you multiple options for radiator support. So radiator support has still stayed the same. You still got that one at the front for the 360, and then only 240 at the top. So you can't do a 360, but in saying that, you can do a 280, 240, but no 360 up the top. Now, in terms of price, so the RGB models in the white and the black, for some reason the white is 95 USD in the RGB, and it is 169 Australian, but in the black it is 90 USD, so you're saving $5, but it is still the same price in Australian, 169. So 169 in Australian for both white and black RGB models, but for US it's 95 as to 90. And then the performance is the same, pretty much the same. It's 90 US dollars for the performance, no RGB, and then 169 Australian as well for that. So pretty good price, I would think, in terms of what you're getting, the functionality. I wouldn't say it's a simple case, it's a well-designed case, and I think it has the features that most users will want to use. Now, one last area I do want to cover, which you may have seen the all-in-one cooler that I used in the build just over, actually it was just over to my right, but in that white build I did at the intro, I used the new Galahad all-in-one cooler, which is from Lian Li. Now you may have seen this all the way back at, must have been Computex last year, where I was doing the streams with them, and they actually had these sort of in pre-production, ready to go, but now they are finally ready to be launched. You've probably seen them hit the stores. They're still ETA, but I think they're only a few weeks or maybe a week away. So in terms of pricing, they both come in a white, or I would say silver, and a black model. They come in 360 and 240 sizes. So the 360, I couldn't really find them in US, so I've just got Australian prices. So the 360 is 259 Australian, and the 240 is 209 Australian. So these are the coolers here. If you've been following these, you probably know what they look like. You've got the nice brushed aluminum on each side, and then this silver one has pretty much all white accents except for the sides and on the sort of pump top. Just some other specs about them. They do come with RGB fans. The black version comes, of course, with black fans, and the silver white model, of course, comes with white fans, and these are some of them here. So pretty nice fans. They do have rubber dampeners on the sides, and they are 65 CFM at 30 dBA, and they push about 2.54 millimeters of air pressure, so not too bad. Pretty decent performing fans there. I haven't really done any testing, but it will be interesting. I'm sure Games Nexus will throw this under his torture testing, and we'll see how it does perform. Now, these are PWM fans. The RGB for these does connect to the Lian Li ecosystem, but the controller it does come with, they do provide a little RGB controller. If you are using them in like a non-Lian Li case, you can either run this controller. The controller also has an option to spit this out to a 5-volt addressable motherboard header. So if you do have your favorite motherboard with all that software, you can include it into that ecosystem. And then you also get a 3-fan splitter as well for the fans. So that just enables you to have it one out onto PWM or something like that. Another interesting thing, if you did follow this earlier, is it does have quite a large RGB area at the front here with the Lian Li logo. And it does have this magnetic little accent piece that you clip on, and it sort of just dials in that RGB. It makes it a bit more vibrant, and then it does cover the Lian Li logo. So you can have sort of a few options for lighting. You can simply leave that, or you can just pull it off, and then you got the whole thing as RGB as well. And something I noticed that I haven't really checked with Lian Li if this is an option, but I think it is, that the actual whole top can turn. So if you've got this mounted and you find that the logo is upright or 90 degrees, you can actually just turn this top like this, and then you can actually rotate it, and you can get that lined up perfectly. Because in the build that you can see, I'll throw some shots up, it was actually not right, so I actually turned it around a bit, and it's not like it's forcing anything. I'm pretty sure it has been designed like that, and then you can just get it lined up perfectly with the logo. Because there's nothing worse than with all-in-one coolers where it's a fixed top. Sometimes you just can't have it the right way depending on how it's installed. So yeah, it does make it a little bit easier having that rotate. And this supports all your sockets, AM3, 4, 2011, all your Intels and so on, so you will be good to go. I'm not sure about Threadripper. I don't think it does. It doesn't have the right brackets, but yeah, mainly your Ryzen AM4 and your Intel X299 and your current 10th gen and all of that. But yeah, that's pretty much it on this whole video. Didn't really want to do a whole full review on the LANCOOL II Mesh because it is a very similar case. I just wanted to point out those main features. Of course, airflow has been dramatically improved on this one. Not saying it was bad originally, but it's even better now. And then you've got those RGB or non-RGB options. And I guess I might as well talk about this build I did here. I wanted to do something sort of high performance in this case, because I would say it is a high performance case. The only issue I probably ran into here was my radiator space. A lot of people in the time-lapse build video have been saying I was a little bit tight, but in saying that, there really wasn't anywhere else I could have gone. I could have added a slim radiator up the top, but personally that wouldn't have really done too much. I did put the 120 on the rear. The front, mind you, is a 60mm XE EK radiator, so that is a 360 60mm thick radiator. It doesn't really look like it because it is sort of stuck inside that front area, but that is a very, very high performing radiator. But then again, I am cooling two 2080s, the 10700K and also the VRMs on the motherboard. And if you do want to know what this motherboard is, it is that MSI Carbon, the Z490, and it is the collaborated one with the EK, where they do have the built-in monoblock, and you can actually purchase that from the EK website that comes with that full mono block installed. Then some of the other gear I used, I really wanted to sort of combine the FLT reservoirs from EK. This is their 120 and it's got the D5 included, so it's not DDC. So it is quite a high performing pump res combo, and I think that blended in nicely with the rest of the system. As that is square, you've got quite a light square area here at the terminal, and then you've got the monoblock which is square as well. And I think sort of trying to cram in something like a DDC cylinder pump res up in this area, it would have just sort of stood out and looked a little bit weird. So that's why I wanted to go with that FLT sort of square pump and res combo. And another area I really like is this acetal terminal bridge. I did actually have the clear plexi one, but after sort of building the system, I actually went out and ordered it on my own just to see how it would look. And I really do like how you can't even see any coolant. It's just that nice sort of satin black look. And I think it just ties in nicely with the rest of the build. But anyway, let us know what you think of this build. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank Lian Li for sending out these cases and this cooler to check out, and stay tuned for the next one.